Hi, I'm a civil celebrant and I'm here just talking to you today about whether or not conflict resolution skills should be required and requirement for being a civil celebrant. You would think not, wouldn't you? You would think with all the celebrations we take and all those wonderful moments in people's lives, even the sad farewells at a funeral are not going to involve conflict. Well, I need to talk to you and prepare you a little bit for the fact that there often is. When we meet our clients, it could be called the chief mourner or the next of kin. There are obviously going to be a range of different emotions going on. So we've all heard of the stages of grief, the Kubler-Ross model. That in its simple form is still helpful, even though there are many theories that replace that now. But if you even think about whether your client is in shock still, whether there is a certain amount of denial, whether they might actually be angry about things. We've got a whole range of emotions going there just when you're about to go and talk to them about the very thing that's causing it. So obviously we have to read our customers well. Our clients are going to be at the forefront of our thoughts the whole time. How are they hearing us? How are we hearing them? Are we really actively listening to what they want? Sometimes the anger can be turned around to be placed upon your shoulders. So we want to avoid that at all costs. So active listening and repeating back what you've heard, clarifying questions to make sure that you have understood exactly what your customer wants. These are very important decisions. And the next part where conflict management might be needed is that you've got a whole family who might want to be involved with the funeral. They may feel that their opinions are the most important opinions and that's how the funeral should be organised. Sometimes people have thought long and hard about this and the family do not always agree. In your role as a civil celebrant, the important thing is to actually have the interview, the first interview with your client, the person that has been instructed as the next of kin or the chief mourner. Try not to have too many people at that meeting, but what you can do is take the names and addresses of those people who would like to contribute and to contact them afterwards. That way you can still get interesting anecdotes, humorous stories, loving messages and people who would like to come and take part in the ceremony without them all around the same table giving you their opinions which may conflict with each other. So that's my advice, is to make sure it's a small group of people, possibly the chief mourner and their partner and possibly one or two more. If you start to get into large numbers, then the more people there, the more chances there are of a conflict. So that's my second piece of advice for you. They may want to help you plan it, and that's great. I mean, you can encourage them to contribute as much as possible, but what you need to do is to just have the core people there in that first instance. And lastly, I'd like to say about managing expectations. Sometimes people come to you and say, I would like to read this epic poem because it was my father's favourite, or I've got a tribute which lasts about 10 minutes long. What they often don't realise, and which of course is your job as a civil celebrant, is to time manage it. Quite often we've only got 30 minutes in a crematorium, so you might need to negotiate a longer time or a double slot as it's sometimes called, or you need to manage the expectations of the people who want to contribute and say, that is lovely, but you need to cut that down to 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it is you're allocating. So there you go. There's my 3 pieces of advice for managing conflict. Hope that's been helpful.